one of the ways that ADHD really affects me is that if I'm in a situation where I can see a lot of things that need to be done, and also I'm having thoughts about a lot of other things that need to be done, it can be extremely overwhelming. And then I start on one thing and I start doing it, and then I'm like, oh no, but now I see another thing that I need to do, or I think of another thing that I need to do, and I'm being dragged in different directions. Now, if I only have a few things to do and I'm not seeing so much things I need to do or distracted by so many thoughts I need to do, and things just come up naturally and gradually, I can multitask to a very good level. But if everything is coming at me at once, but visually and in my mind, it's crazy and I just don't even know what to tackle first. Over time, I've started to be able to filter out the information a bit better so I can convince myself to focus on one thing and get that finished before I move on to the other thing. But actually, things like trying to tidy my home can be really chaotic because staying on task is very difficult. It gets quite boring when I'm having to do something for a long period of time, say, for example, folding clothes or some tasks I don't get great satisfaction out of. And then I look and I see something else that needs to be done, and it makes me want to just run over to the other side of the room and focus on getting that done instead. So actually, what can happen here is that nothing gets done because I get so distracted, and then I come back and I'm like, oh, I didn't even finish that thing. So over time and with life experience, I've had to become extremely disciplined and persuade myself to focus, to stay on task, even when it gets boring, just so I can actually finish something and get something done. Home management is one of the biggest challenges for me, which I feel that now in my late 30s, I've probably mastered it. But for a really long time, particularly in my 20s, my home was always really messy because I couldn't stay on task for long enough to be able to actually tidy things. So you really do learn strategies over time to be able to cope with all of the thoughts and distractions that come into your mind when you have ADHD. It's really challenging, but actually there can be benefits as well. So at times when you are really interested in something, you can have hyperfocus and focus on something for extremely long periods of time. It's not unheard of for me to focus on the very same thing for 12 hours if it's of high interest to me and of high importance, and I can then filter out everything else, maybe even forgetting to eat or forgetting to do other things that are important, and just prioritizing this task. So ADHD is not just about your lack of attention and inability to focus, but actually you can have hyperfocus as well. But certainly there's day-to-day tasks that become kind of mundane, such as when I'm blow drying my hair. I find it so boring. And after a few minutes of doing that task, I see something else that I want to just run and do and give up on blow drying my hair because it is so boring to stay on task. And really, this takes discipline to actually stay on task for long enough to get something done.